Today, we're going to dive into a story of what you might call majestic melancholy, a story of tragic beauty and a really fiery salvation, all told through some incredibly powerful lyrics. So, let's get right into it. So, right from the get-go, we're plunged straight into the emotional deep end. This line, it just sets this incredibly somber atmospheric tone. It's like a dark, still river at dusk. You can feel that our narrator is right on the brink, totally submerged in a sadness that feels like it has an almost inevitable end. Now, to really get what's going on here, we have to talk about the central metaphor, Ophelia. For anyone who doesn't know, in Shakespeare's tragedy, she's the symbol of beauty that's just destroyed by grief and madness, and she ultimately drowns. This literary ghost is what haunts our entire story, representing the exact tragic fate our narrator is so desperate to avoid. All right, so let's start with that peril. We're going to explore the inescapable world our narrator is trapped in before the story's big turning point. This is the prelude to what could have been a very tragic end. I mean, the lyrics paint this just incredibly vivid, toxic picture. This isn't just regular sadness, she calls it purgatory. Love is described as a cold bed full of scorpions. What a truly gothic image, right? A constant venomous threat. And as this venom starts to steal her sanity, her only defense is to swear loyalty only to herself, which locks her into this state of complete guarded isolation. And that sense of being completely alone, well, that's a huge theme, and it gets its own symbolic home in this story. The tower, yeah, that's a classic symbol of isolation, right? Of being locked away from the world. But here's the thing, our narrator isn't really alone. She can feel this external presence, someone she says is haunting your powers. This introduces a mysterious, powerful figure who's just watching from the shadows, and it adds this whole new layer of suspense to her solitude. Okay, so now that powerful figure, they're making their move. But, and this is a big but, this is not your typical knight in shining armor. The lyrics give them a much more dangerous and frankly ambiguous label. The way this character's duality is shown is just brilliant. They're called a pyro, an agent of chaos, who wraps around her like a crown of fire. I mean, how destructive and almost demonic is that image? And yet, this is the exact same pyro who lit my sky. The figure haunting from the shadows is also the one calling on the megaphone. It's this incredible paradox, isn't it? Both tormentor and savior, a dangerous, magnetic force. So this complex, fiery savior, they're the one who orchestrates the story's big climax. We finally arrived at that dramatic turning point, the moment of rescue and just complete transformation. You can really break down the rescue into three clear acts. First up, the peril. Our narrator is drowning and deceived, walking the exact same path as Ophelia. Then comes the intervention, this dramatic, almost supernatural moment where this person literally takes her out of my grave. And finally, we get the rebirth. Her heart is saved from that tragic fate. This line, this is the absolute crux of it. The O is just left hanging there, but we all know who she's talking about, right? It's crystal clear. This is the explicit confirmation that the cycle is broken. Our narrator has been pulled from the water, her story rewritten, her fate averted by this one powerful intervention. So what happens after a rescue like that? I mean, where do you go from there? The final part of our story explores this new reality, the aftermath of salvation, and the deep, intricate bond that's been forged in all that fire. And in this new life, well, our narrator isn't really the sole author of her own story anymore. Her perception, her memories, her very sense of self are now deeply tangled up with the person who saved her. Wow, that line is just chilling. When you think about its implications, it suggests an incredible kind of intimacy, sure, but also a profound dependence. The most private part of her being, her memory, is now a shared space, but one to which only the Savior holds the key. That speaks to an absolute level of trust, and maybe, just maybe, a new, more subtle kind of vulnerability. Okay, let's bring this all the way back around. The journey from that cold bed of scorpions, from being on the edge of drowning in melancholy, has been one of absolute, total transformation. And this is really the final sentiment, isn't it? The despair, the deception, the drowning, it's all in the past. And the reason is so simple, so direct. All because you came for me. It's a conclusion of pure, unadulterated gratitude and deliverance. But we have to end with a question that's been kind of lurking in the shadows of this whole story. The narrator has been saved from the fate of Ophelia, for sure. But is she truly free? When your savior is a pyro who wraps you in a crown of fire, when they alone hold the key to your memory, what does that freedom really look like? Is this a true rescue? Or is it just a much more beautiful, intricate cage? A thought to leave you with.